All right, welcome. That is the bell. We're 10 minutes in, so we're going to start. Again, welcome this evening. Please raise your hand if you are a prospective parent. You don't have kids here yet, but you are considering. Excellent. Let's give my hand. Please introduce yourself, current parents, to those who are with us. Fabulous that you're here. So we're going to start how we've been starting the school day recently, and it requires a little call and response. I've provided a script for you up there. You're the one in bold. I'm the one in italics. Okay, you ready? What's the virtue of the month?
Temperance.
Say what?
Temperance.
What's that?
Enjoying things in a proper balance.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. So with temperance, we're going to have our tempered enjoyment of wine this evening, but there are bottles on the table for you to enjoy. Parishioner donated these to us. It's fabulous. And I'd like to start with the toast. We've got wine in hand. Like everyone raise your glass with me. This is a toast to new life. I want to thank all of you for your support of me, my wife Morgan, and our little Lawrence Aloysius, just these last couple months and leading up to it. In fact, a former parent dropped off diapers in the office today, just a testament to what this community is. But also the life that is St. Alphonsus. It's been said that dead things go with the stream, and living things go against them. I think St. Alphonsus, we're moving up the stream. It's also a testament to, we've had 8 transfer students since January, and they're looking for new life, and that's what we provide here at St. Al's, and you all make it happen. It's new life, and we say, Gagi Marjos, which means to you the victory. Gagi Marjos. Prayer as well, quick prayer in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to gather this evening with friends, family, this time of fellowship, but also to celebrate our school and to discuss the direction that we're headed. We ask that you guide us in all things, that you protect our students, our staff, the parent community, and everyone who's sick and suffering who couldn't be able to be with us this evening. Watch over them and protect them. Thank you especially for Father Luigi for his service to us at St. Alphonsus, and we ask a special blessing on him as he prepares a new journey in the Archdiocese of Seattle and for all of the priests in our midst. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit. All right, I'm going to introduce Pete Noble. He's our school commission vice chair. There was a school survey that you took a few weeks ago. He's going to discuss some of the themes and results from that survey. Pete, if you want to present from there, you're welcome to, or you can come there.
Perfect. I'll present. Good evening, and welcome to the visiting families. And my name's Pete Noble. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here in the Nashville community for a variety of reasons. We have been at St. Al's now for going on for 3 years, and having been publicly or previously involved in the school that we were at, I believe in the potential that we're doing and where we're going, and I believe it's the best thing going. My wife is Beth. Lucy graduated last year, 8th grade, and we have daughters Emma and Addie in 7th and 5th grade. And if it's not obvious from the next slide, I love quotes. And some of my favorite quotes have to do with education. And the reason that some of my favorite quotes have to do with education is because of the fact that I think of education somewhat as an engineering kind of opportunity. And that when you take a look at the root cause, one of my favorites is Taiichi Ohno. He happened to be responsible for the Toyota manufacturing process. What he says is the root cause to any problem is the key to a lasting solution. I personally believe that we are in some interesting times, facing some big challenges, and the best, surest way to affect better outcomes is earlier in life. And so that's why I'm such a fan of what's going on at St. Al's. And in fact, I look at St. Al's as a launch pad. Stick with me here for a minute. There are 182 kids enrolled as students. Now, let's call them an average age of 10, perhaps an average life expectancy of 80. So that's 70 years on average of 182 students' lives. And the total amount of that life is 12,770 years. Right? Close to 13,000 years of life that will be led by students that will be influenced by what they learned at St. Al's. And for me, that is, I think of it more about how they're learning rather than what they're learning and what they'll become, but how they'll live. So with that, I'm going to turn our attention to the results from the Net Promoter Scores for those of you that are their survey. For those of you that took the survey, thank you very much. We had close to a similar outcome in terms of the number of responses. And in case you're unfamiliar, I suspect the question is one that you're mostly familiar with, which is, would you recommend St. Al's to a friend or a colleague? Right, it's used by a lot of companies. It was originally introduced by Bain and Company. And so the Net Promoter Score is a result of adding the 9s and 10s, which are considered promoters. You take the total percentage of promoters, you ignore the passive of 7 and 8, and then you take the cumulative percentage of the 6 and 1s and you minus those from the promoters to come up with a response. And so for the second year in a row, we've done this test or this survey. And it gives us really a rich, interesting kind of data-centric view overall of the sentiment, like, would you recommend St. Al's to someone? And so we've come up with 65 this year, thank you, and give you some comparison. As you see, Apple's NPS is 61. So overall, a 65 is generally considered outstanding. Doesn't mean that work is done or that, we're set. We got a lot to do, but we're working from a very strong base. So thanks again for helping us. The year-over-year difference in the survey, we decided to put a real kind of quantitative focus on some of the most formative, qualitative aspects of school, whether it's obviously academics, rigor, preparation, behavior, faith, Catholic traditions, activities. So that's why we had this series of 9 questions that were close-ended, quantitative, and little surprised that obviously community and Catholic traditions come out very strongly. We have some opportunities from extracurricular activities. Ironically, faith-filled community was the strongest performing here, and yet help develop appetite for divine spiritual things was relatively low. So I'm having a hard time reconciling that, but nonetheless, the one that I was most excited by was the fact that the vast majority of families reporting for their students are excited, right? Excited to go to school in the morning and feel a sense of belonging. Man, can you imagine that? Yeah, if I can remember back to the days where I'm like, man, I don't want to go to school today. In general, every day, St. Al's elicits a sense of excitement. So really cool. And we will continue, by the way, asking these questions, right? Because they give us now a foundation of the areas that Nick and team and the school commission can devote resources to and prioritize. Yes, you have a question. Oh, just for the top performing relative to the other questions. And so where there might have been like, hey, these are ones where areas of improvements versus areas that are doing best. Slide. And then resourcing St. Al's, and you're going to hear from Chris Hanzelli a little bit later tonight. The obvious outcome of this is we really have a big opportunity on ensuring that everybody is aware of kind of the time that they're putting in and the money that you are donating. And I personally have an idea on what we can do to solve for the time that we're working on so that you're able to volunteer, report, and capture hours all from the same system rather than how we do it today, which is self-reporting through different apps. So those are the survey results. There were a number of questions that also were open-ended. So amongst the actions are, first of all, right, we went through this, closed, kind of tabulated quick results, shared it with the school commission last week. Nick has shared it with the staff for the first time today. We're sharing it tonight. We still have a lot of work to do on this because there was a lot of great comments that came in. So we need to synthesize, summarize those comments and some, very great points of view. And we're going to continue to survey and measure. So again, greatly appreciate your input to this continuous process of growing together at St. Al's. If you didn't answer 9 or 10, and there's something that can be done about it, now we ask you to give your feedback to Nick and team. One, we aspire to have everybody say, this is a place I'd recommend anyone to, because it is a place to educate my child. Helping St. Al's grow is a big topic for us because, well, if the greater enrollment, which is some of the feedback we received from the survey, which is sometimes it feels small, which we're trying to solve for. And then in closing, I gotta quickly ask, if I seem like, if you're a current parent, and I seem like a decent enough member of the community that you give me 5 minutes of your time, can you please raise your hand? Keep them raised, keep them raised. It's like, who's done cardio today? You can take your hand down if you've done a Google review on St. Al's. We've all done Google reviews. There's only 30 Google reviews. What I'm asking for is we need to get the Google reviews moving and going up. Not because a family's going to make a decision on a Google review on St. Al's, but because we give people a way to engage with and kind of consider St. Al's on their own terms without necessarily doing the school tour yet. If our community is speaking on Google reviews and we're active there, then it's a way for families to say, look at what our families, current families saying about St. Al's. So I'm asking for those of you that had your hand up that haven't done a Google review, that are a current parent that would give me 5 minutes every time as valued member of the community, do a Google review. Otherwise, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Like this is, we gotta get this up. And by the way, we will point people to Google reviews. We use it on our website to say, see what family members are saying about St. Al's. Please, because growing St. Al's is a nut that we have to crack, and it deserves to be cracked. We're going to crack it. We will get to 230 students by the time I'm on the commission's done. Thank you very much.
QR codes, and also Google us. If you're smart enough people to figure out how to leave a Google review, please do it. It will help. We'll delve into a little bit more of those themes that Pete was talking about, particularly related to academics and fair share throughout the presentation. I want to share also another thing that we say every morning, and it really grounds our work every day. Our students say each and every day, today I will grow in knowledge, love of God, and service to others. It's an excellent framework for us. So I want to share some wins in areas of growth from each of those areas. We'll start with what's a little bit dry to me, but you're all interested in it, is our MAP scores. A MAP score stands for Measure of Academic Progress. It's a computer adaptive test. Students in public schools also take MAP scores, so we're able to compare data to public school peers. The Archdiocese of Seattle also takes these MAP tests. So again, it gives us another data point for comparison. A RIT score, you might need a PhD to understand this. So let me try and I will break this down for you. A RIT score is like a growth chart. We mark it so we can track from term to term the level of progress. And like I said, use it for comparison purposes. We continue to outperform our Archdiocesan peers and public school peers, not by a huge margin, but enough. And it's consistent from 3 years ago till now. And I was telling our staff today, that math gain is our largest delta, but reading has increased in the last 2 years, I think in large part to some renewed effort with literacy and our reading programs, which is great. So this is grades 1 through 4, that data comparison. Grades 5 through 8 looks very similar. All right, you just see that the RIT scores are higher because they score higher on these tests as they progress in age. I want to pull out maybe a more interesting nugget of information, though, that I want to celebrate with our staff and particularly our young men at the school, our boys. There's an interesting quadrant on the vertical axis. You've got growth, how much they're growing from term to term, and that's a percentile. And then on the horizontal axis, achievement. So again, that raw RIT score. It is very, very difficult to be in that upper right quadrant of high growth and high achievement from one term to the next. Okay. This is from fall of 2023 to winter 2024 for our boys in the reading test. With every class except one, and they were close. They were in this high achievement, high growth, in kind of that stereotypical adages that boys struggle in reading. And I think we do something really well here in that boys are seen, particularly in middle school. They've got those single gender classes. They're motivated. They motivate each other. So this is a really cool win for our school. And we'll continue to keep tracking progress split out by gender. The Archdiocese doesn't provide much data by gender, but I can compare it to public school data. So this is something, again, for us to continue to promote our single gender middle school, split gender middle school. Something for us to look at, but congratulate your son for what they're doing. All right, some areas of growth for us. We want to continue to offer consistent academic support for our students with learning accommodations. They make up about 17% of our student body, and that increases year over year, whether it's IEPs, internal 504 plans, other accommodations, they need additional support. And we want to make sure that that support follows them from math class to science class to ELA and beyond. And I don't have a great picture of her, but on the left, she's got the blonde hair, she's looking down. Melissa Chittenden is our new learning resource specialist, and she's been a game changer for our staff in terms of getting cohesion with our learning resource center, who the kids are, what accommodations they need, and communicating that out to our teachers. But we need to continue to do this because we'll have more and more students enter St. Al's because they know we do a great job with this. Another area of focus, we need to refine our preschool pre-K programs. Most of you or some of you may know, we're moving away from a choose your own adventure sort of model where half day here, half day there. We recently got the Montessori room fully licensed, which is amazing. To have 2 licensed preschool rooms is an incredible asset for our community. Requires some additional compliance with DCYF and the state, but our teachers are incredible. They're very, very different classrooms, as you can probably attest to. But our teachers do such a great job in there, and we want to make sure that we're supporting younger students in that exploratory room, and our older students really prepping them for kindergarten in that Montessori model and kind of getting that kindergarten readiness. This is with Kathleen Fleming, our new preschool director, and working hand in hand. Yeah, she's been amazing. Amazing. Walk to Math program for primary. If you're unfamiliar with this, Walk to Math is essentially if your students in second grade and maybe they're a high achiever, high flyer, instead of going with their second grade to math, they can walk up to third grade math. It sounds great on paper. And we've offered this in the past. I've put a pause on it this year because we just weren't resourced enough to have staffing for it. That was a difficult decision. And I know some families were frustrated with that. I want to continue to offer this. We had Mr. Swanson who taught science and also a math class. So when you do Walk to Math, you've got this extra cohort of kids who are dangling around. And what St. Al's has done in the past, which I don't want to do, is sacrifice religion or social studies so the kids can go to that math class. To me, that's not a whole child approach. So we have to retool our scheduling, and with split gender and cohorting, it's very tricky. But I'm committed to this because, you know, there's some kids who just need that extra challenge. So we're gonna have to work hard to make that work, and other people might be stretched to teach math. We want to make sure they're confident doing so. But this is an important program that St. Al's can continue to offer because of our small size. Another area of growth for us is a clear scope and sequence in terms of curriculum for families. I've given our teachers a lot of new content in the last 2.5 years. Whenever I get up out of staff meeting, they're like, it's nothing new. I'm like, there's nothing new today. But I've really pushed them. I think we've made incredible strides with our curriculum, especially in social studies, and ELA. We need to continue to grow. But when you get to back to school night next year or curriculum night, I want to be able to hand you like, this is a year at a glance for every class. Here are the objectives. This is what we're covering. This is how it builds from year to year. We kind of have that working internally. It didn't exist before, and that takes a lot of collaboration and effort. But again, as a small school, it's a distinguishing factor for us if we can make it work. Public schools, everything is just siloed, right? It's math, it's science, it's art, it's music, and those two don't really talk extremely well to each other. We have the opportunity, as our teachers are doing here, they're mapping elements of their curriculum on a timeline, really cool, chronologically. Okay, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, medieval times, what novels they're reading, when, what units in art are they doing, what units in music are they doing. So we can actually start to see where the overlap is and dive deeper. Learning happens when connections are made. So the integration is a key component for me that we need. You also talked about on the survey, just a desire to see some more extracurriculars. In my opinion, we have a lot. And I encourage you, if you are passionate about something, please volunteer, because we're a better school when parents step up and share their gifts. We have offered chess club. I'm not going to be able to get all of them. Chess club, science club, percussion ensemble, stage stars, coding, STEAM. The list goes on and on and on. Robotics, science, yeah. And I get it. They don't happen every single day after school. There can be more opportunities. I can offer some with our resources. But again, if you've got an interest, please feel free to step up. This year with enrichment, it's absolutely amazing. Maureen is sitting here, parent who is doing beekeeping. Kids are really getting into that. We have an apiary out behind the family center. We did an iconography class with one of our parishioners. We visited an awesome cathedral, and they produced some amazing icons. Model UN, service learning. I'm teaching a Christian leadership class. Home ec, art and pottery. What else am I missing?
Coding.
Acting. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities to grow in this knowledge domain. Special shout out to our academic decathlon team. Didn't hear this. Again, this well-rounded approach. they played first in, I think it's the, who was in the state of Washington, which put them to nationals, and we just found out they finished 14th in nationals, which was amazing. Those ladies, they're a team of all girls. We need to get some boys in there, but the team of all girls, I swear they could put someone on the moon if they wanted to. They really could.
This is their first year too.
First year, and we're looking to repeat. So look out. And a quick plug for the play. Okay, this follows under knowledge, again, that whole child approach. The Crimson House Murder. The kids are really excited about this. I was up there yesterday. They're doing rehearsals. Mo Marchand is amazing. She's been doing this for decades, and she's got the kids dialed in. Please be on the lookout for tickets. We do that up in the stuffy auditorium, April 26th through 28th. You don't want to miss this, and bring your young kiddos too. We want to inspire those young minds to do the arts. It's a great, great asset we have at St. Al's, that little theater up there. Next domain, right? Knowledge, but also growing in love of God. I shared an article a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. We got spotlighted on the National Syndicate for, hey, St. Al's is doing some creative things to keep the faith. And that's really special when 49% of our students are Catholic. Why are we a Catholic school then? Like, no, this is why we're a Catholic school. It's universal, that lowercase c that I like to talk about. I think we share a very, very joyful, welcoming expression of Catholicism that is universal for every kid. Every kid deserves a St. Al's education. I've got Miss Kavanaugh up there. She's, brought Pan Dulce for everybody on the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. It's making the faith come to life. If you've got some kiddos at home on Sunday morning too, or Saturday evening, and you're paying that in-parish rate, and you're like, man, what else can I do? Have them sign up to be an altar server. Okay, it keeps them engaged. We'd love to build this program, and we'd love some more ladies. Got Ellis up there. She's a staple. But love of God, this doesn't just apply to our students. This applies to our staff. We want to make sure that we're recruiting mission-based educators. The Innovative Housing Project, if you're not familiar with this, got the convent, we've got educators who are living there, not just from St. Al's, but across the diocese. This will continue to be a recruiting tool, not just for St. Al's, but for the entire archdiocese. We are the forefront of this. It's awesome. Someone called me the other day from Tucson. They read this article and they said, I want to work at your school. I'm coming up from Tucson. I just want you to give me a tour. Said, of course, I don't have any openings. Also interested in living in the convent, but word is getting out about St. Al's that we're doing something unique. Again, that's swimming against the stream. People notice. And finally, we're offering a great retreat for students, 7th and 8th grade. Net missionaries, college-age missionaries are coming. Thank you to some of you who are going to host them in your homes. That's a fabulous ministry for your students to see young people on fire that we want to spark here, also at St. Al's. And I have to play this because it's just too stinking cute. Melissa, would you mind hitting play? We've done a lot of work with virtues, and again, don't have to be Catholic to have a virtue be relevant to your life. And these kids, they get up, they recite them. We're trying to have them be internalized. So this is Mr. J. Mertz reciting his virtue for house points, or his Bible verse, excuse me. So to have middle school boys locked in, listening to their peers, congratulating them. Yes, there's house points, but this is something, again, we'd like to grow and develop to become normalized at St. Al's. Unless I might need some help. Oh,
Yeah.
got it. And then lastly, okay, today I'll grow in service to others. I don't know if some of you came to the rocket launch. It was epic for Mr. Swanson, honor of Mr. Swanson, and what the students did leading up to his death, the cards that they wrote. It just meant the world to him, how we live out that charism. Dane up here, middle top, on his own, led a treehouse service organization or service drive, collected, I don't know how many pounds of clothes and donated them to foster kids on his own. I think it just speaks to the character of our students. Top right, we have Dr. George Diaz. He is an alum of St. Al's and treated patient zero COVID, first ever in the United States. And he came and spoke to our students during Catholic Schools Week. And again, just how he's using his gifts to serve others. And then so many of you, just want to say thank you for your service, whether you're coaching CYO sports, doing everything in between, with drop off and pickup. Sometimes it's a blur, but it doesn't go unnoticed, the time that you put in. So thank you. Finally, our house captains up here. This is a new system for us. We got to work on it a little bit. We've had some great wins. We've got some challenges that we got to work through. But these kids have been motivated to take the reign and lead their respective houses, 2 houses of boys, 2 houses of girls. But I'd like to incorporate more service projects into this. But it's been a fun beginning with the house point system and house competitions. So hopefully your kids have shared something about that. And again, thank you for helping us secure the future, the auction. That was a fabulous event. And I don't know if you noticed, but right over here, our first AED is up. It's been installed. Our staff is going to be trained on how to use it right after spring break, but it's pretty amazing. You open up the door, the cabinet, you pick up the AED, and it starts talking to you right away. So it's somewhat foolproof, but we're excited to get our staff trained on it and start the other projects rolling here soon. So thank you for that. Now I'm going to transition a little bit. It seems like a total change of directions in some ways, but there's this thing out there you may have heard. It's called Partners in the Gospel. And some of you, it's probably increased your anxiety. What is happening at the St. Alphonsus? Even prospective parents have heard about what the Catholic Church is doing. They're consolidating. I'm not sure what that means for schools. I'm just here to say we're taking it as it comes. Every principal in the Archdiocese is taking it as it comes. And I'm actually very excited for the new energy that can potentially be unleashed from this. Essentially what this is 136 parishes currently exist in the Archdiocese. Because of mass attendance, low priest numbers, there's going to be a consolidation process. And we have already been assigned a parish family back in February with St. John's up the road in Greenwood, and then St. Ben's over in Green Lake. I have a great working relationship with Brian Anderson at St. Ben's. Bernadette O'Leary is fabulous at St. John's. She was retiring. I know the new principal at St. John. I taught her daughter, Blanchette. Very excited to work with all of them. April, probably the second week of April, the pastor and parochial vicar will be assigned for St. Alphonsus, but also St. John, St. Ben's. And then in July, instead of saying, okay, oh, we're changing tuition, we're changing staff compensation, we're changing all this, it's really about community building. It's about building understanding and then figuring out how eventually will we streamline operations over a 3-year timeline. 2027 is when the new parish officially begins. What exactly that looks like, I can't tell you. potentially a new name change, potentially, if we know mass times are going to change. The impact on the school, though, is we are full steam ahead doing what we do best, and that's educating your kiddos. So I know this is operating in the background, and I know as much as you. What I just shared is all I got. So if you got questions, I encourage you to sign up for Partnering in the Gospel FAQ email or monthly update. There's some helpful information there sometimes. Okay, now we're going to pivot again and start looking at finances here. So if you need to take another sip of that wine and make the numbers seem a little clearer, we're looking at income not from this school year, but last school year, since we're still in progress. Okay, so we're looking at fiscal year 2023. You'll see that our bottom line, okay, our income was $2.3 million. All right, 72% of that was with tuition and fees. All right, grants was almost $250,000. Annual fund. I stood up here last year at the state of the school and said, our annual fund goal is going to be $125,000. And you all basically kind of laughed at me because before it was like $40,000. Well, I'm happy to say that our annual fund last year, we raised $151,000. That's all of you. Auction and Fund a Dream over 100,000. We receive a subsidy from the parish. That's 75,000. Jogathon brought in 30K. So that tuition and fees number is typically closer to about 75 to 80%. That grants is a large component. We've shared this before. We cannot continue to budget that in. Grants are not predictable. We're going to have to find other sources of income or students, right, to build up that tuition and fees. We've received grants from the Fulcrum Foundation, from Knights of Columbus, from the Wilson Foundation, from tuition assistance. So we've got some work cut out for us in school commission. We're not budgeting for that next year. On the expense side, okay, last year was a net gain of 51,000. Okay, salaries, taxes, benefits, obviously the largest portion of that. A couple of years ago at State of School said, you know, I really want to get our teacher salaries more equitable with Seattle Public Schools. Okay, we were in the low 70s for SPS, Seattle Public Schools base salaries. We're averaging right now about 85%, which has been a tremendous gain. But it's the field goals keeps changing, right? With SPS doing increases of 7% more, 4% next year, it's really not sustainable to chase. The Archdiocese no longer wants to chase this. That is not a sustainable model for Seattle Public Schools, as you know. Okay, they are pulling their hair out, figuring out what to do. We have to be more creative in how we compensate teachers. The convent is an excellent way. The Archdiocese is looking at, you know, what do we do with flex time and sick time, vacation time, new medical insurance that's more amenable to families. So those sorts of things that we can offer our staff. Again, that net gain of 51, okay, to put an asterisk next to it, you know, that's great, we can celebrate it, but you know, grants, huge component. You know, we want to get more students, so it's a constant battle. Again, I've got an excellent school commission, and we're working on it. So this is what I can share for this fiscal year. You can see a snapshot. Enrollment numbers, okay, everyone's favorite topic. Right now, we're at 182 students. That's up 8% from 21-22, which is great. We need to keep climbing that ladder. I super appreciate everyone's feedback. Okay, there was a couple questions on what are one or two things that you would do to attract more families. Taking that feedback, you know, Parents Club might share a couple things related to that. School commission, it's top of mind. A really great thing about St. Al's is we pull from 20 different zip codes. That is what makes us the most diverse Catholic school in North Seattle. And a third of our students are students of color, also the most diverse in North Seattle. But you know what? I want to own our zip code. We should 98107, 98117, 9113, right? Those should be our highest numbers from our neighborhood. So we again, work cut out for us to do there. Obviously, enrollment impacts tuition, cost to educate. So we'll take a look at some of those numbers. So if you remember a couple years ago, looking at staff salaries, looking at kind of where we were for enrollment, said we really have to do some sizable increases with tuition that aren't going to feel super great. We're going to do it up front and then kind of ease in. So a couple years ago, we increased tuition $85 a month, which was a 9% increase in tuition. That is double usually what we typically see. Okay, last year was an increase in $63 a month or 7.5%. Next year, school year, is an increase in $50 a month or about 5.5%. Those were the largest increases in tuition of any school in North Seattle. Okay, and we're still in the lower third of tuition, or actually second lowest. Okay, so there's so much I can ask in terms of tuition, and you've done a lot. Fair share is going to come in, and we'll talk about how we close that gap. You can see what the tuition rates are for in parish, out of parish. I just put 5-day, full-day preschool up there. But the true cost to educate our students for next school year, we project to be about $13,719. Okay, that's about a 6% increase, right? Utilities go up, taxes and benefits go up, other things that we have to pay for maintenance. You go to the grocery store, prices increase. This number is within about $40 of St. John's number, just to give you reference. Like we're in the same ballpark, even though they're much bigger than we are, right? Cost to educate is similar. So that gap, when you look at it, and Chris is going to talk more about this momentarily, the gap is average tuition that we're collecting, which is around $9,000 from the cost to educate. Okay, that's a sizable chunk of change, right? Sizable chunk of change. So I've really teed up Chris how we address that with fair share.
Thanks, Nick. I'm going to introduce myself, my family. This is your chance to get up, stretch, get some more wine and cheese and grapes. Seriously, you have permission to get up and refill your glasses if you want. My name is Chris Enzelli. I have the privilege of being your school commission chair. My wonderful wife, Michelle, is right over here. She is an alumni from St. Al's in 1900. And we are loyal St. Al's parents. We have 4 children. Daniel, Matthew, Aaron, and Peter. Daniel is 16 and a sophomore at Blanchette. He has benefited greatly from the education here at St. Al's, and we are very blessed and thankful to this community to prepare him so well for high school. And our son Matthew was recently accepted Blanchette. He's an 8th grader and will be going there next year. So thank you again, Nick and St. Al's, for supporting our children so generously. And then we have Aaron, who's in 6th grade, and Peter, who's in 4th grade.
3rd grade.
3rd grade. Go ahead. Please do not ask me the birthday. It's really embarrassing when I go to the doctor. But we've been very blessed by this community. We've benefited greatly from it. And because of that, of course, we invest heavily in it. We try our very best to give our time, talent, and treasure to St. Al's. St. Al's is one of the top 3 charities we support in our family. And my job here today is to talk to you about the philanthropic side of St. Al's, the most exciting part of the finances. Philanthropy means love of humankind. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that gap and how fair share is our approach to philanthropy here at St. Al's. Fair share simply is a trust-based way of thinking about your gift of time and talent and treasure to St. Alphonsus. A lot of schools operate under the mandatory philanthropy model. Philanthropy is, by definition, a free gift made in love to someone or something in need. So mandating philanthropy is kind of contrary to the whole spirit. which is why this year we embraced a new model called Fair Share. Now, admittedly, we're working the kinks out, but we're going to stick with it for a couple of years because our sister school, if you can call them that, St. John's, has used Fair Share as their model of philanthropy for 30 years very successfully. And there's a lot of value in Fair Share. Fair Share simply says, we promise as a school to share transparently with you the numbers of the school, the needs of the school, and how it impacts your child. And we trust you and your family to discern the best way for you to get involved by giving your money, by giving your time or your talent to help the school. That's a discernment with you, your spouse, with God, to know what you're called to do. And every family's called to do something different. All our situations are different. All our means are different. In fact, within the same family, our means change from year to year. We get promoted, we get another job. Maybe we lose a job. Maybe our salaries are cut. Everything changes year to year. And Fair Share is really a call to constantly discern what you think you can do as a family, the best you can do, and then work hard towards that. When it comes to giving, it's a really flexible model because it's sized to your family. It's tax deductible, so Uncle Sam is here to help you. It most importantly funds the gap. That gap between the real cost to run St. Al's and serve your students, your children, and versus what we bring in tuition. I want to take a quick sidebar to talk about tuition. Tuition is something that the Catholic Church has always been very flexible on meeting the needs of each family. Traditionally, Catholic schools were established to serve the underprivileged, to serve immigrants, to make a quality education available to all, not just to the elite or those who have lots of resources in society. That character, that spirit of access for all, it still permeates the parochial system in the Catholic Church, which means when a family comes to St. Al's and they're told the tuition rate, and they're desperate to get a quality education for their child, but they cannot afford that tuition legitimately, then they work with Nick and the staff to come up with a number that they can afford. And the consequence of that, in a good way, I would say, is that we trust God's providence and this community to step up and help out. We're not a community of individual families isolated from each other. We're a community. We stick together, and it's the definition of it takes a village, right? And especially with a small school like St. Al's, who I like to say has a great big heart, all of you, we're trusting your heart to respond to the need of the school. And when we all pull together and do the best we can, we fund the gap, and we're confident we'll get it done. But as you know, maybe some of you are like, I'm new to philanthropy, I don't know. Research shows that donating and volunteering your time actually causes a feeling of double the joy in one's life. This is empirical evidence, social science. Sarah Kunath, 2016, you can look up the study. It also corresponds with a 47% reduction in the chances of death. How you measure that? I don't really know. Again, smart people smarter than me have measured this. Not only that, it reduces cortisol, the stress hormone in your brain, and it also activates the pleasure center of your brain to give money. So if you're looking to feel better, get some excitement back in your life, and reduce the chances of death, go home and make a gift to St. Alice tonight. You'll appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here for the rest of the night. But it's true. It's a fun way to express that philanthropy, that gift of self. It's written on all our hearts. Every one of us can do something. And rather than mandating to you an annual fund gift or mandating to you a number of hours to volunteer, we ask you to make a commitment on your own and then work really hard towards that commitment, both in your giving and in your volunteering. We're good for the next one. So in that spirit of transparency, we're trying to do a better job of communicating the numbers of the school and how we calculate that gap. Some of the feedback we got this year from the Fair Share model was, love the idea, love the spirit of it. Not really sure how I'm actually supposed to do this. Not really sure exactly what the need is, and not really sure how that relates to all the opportunities to volunteer or to donate throughout the year. So we're going to be working really hard this year to be better communicators on a regular basis throughout the year so that you know exactly where your philanthropy can be directed and how your volunteering can be fulfilled. But calculating the gap, it's super simple math. It's what every Catholic school does. Total budget divided by number of students. That's the real life, real world cost to educate a student. Then you take that number, you subtract your tuition rate from it, and you get your gap. Again, very simple. So if you want to think about what your fair share opportunity is as a family, take the real cost of tuition minus what you pay take the real cost minus what you pay in tuition. And that's an opportunity for you to give philanthropically or to volunteer to help support the operations of the school. To build that out for you, to show kind of the impact of tuition and true cost to educate, we've shown again for you the in-parish rate for tuition, the out-of-parish rate for tuition, and then what we call the effective rate. Remember I mentioned Catholic schools are a school of access. We want every family, regardless of means, to be able to get an education. So that means a lot of families come and they get discounts of varying amounts. And we're here to support them as a community. And what that means is that the effective tuition charge, the average tuition charge per student, is really just over $9,000, which is why when you get communications from the school this year, the gap is $4,600 per student on an average. So it's important you know, you can see this chart, you can calculate what your personal gap is, and you can also calculate what the school's real life average effective rate gap is going to be per year. So now it's our job to do a better job this year, kind of sharing this number throughout the year, sharing where you stand philanthropically, and sharing where you stand with your volunteering. We don't want to burden the staff or you with tracking hours unnecessarily, but we also realize we have a responsibility to plan. We have a responsibility to hold each other accountable and to support each other. So later this year, by the end of the school year, we're going to release a very super simple form, take you maybe 60 seconds, to go online and communicate to the school what you want your philanthropic goal to be next year. Oh, thank you, Siri. Please tell me. And what you want to do for your volunteering next year. And it's okay if that changes in the year. The point is that you've taken time to reflect, discern, and then you put something on paper as a goal for yourself. We're not going to track hours, but we are going to ask you to share roughly how many times would you like to volunteer? Is it once a week, once a month, half a dozen times in the school year? And then we'll report back to you on all of those data points. Because we all appreciate feedback loops, we all appreciate regular communication, and it's our promise as a school to do a better job of that this next year. And we trust you to do your best for St. El's. Lastly, people say, I get a lot of emails about things I can help with, volunteer opportunities. How does this really work across all the different activities of the school? So let's pretend your family's fair share goal financially next year is to maybe donate $1,000. That would be $1,000 over the course of the school year, broken up across the three kind of primary fundraising activities of the school: the Jogathon, the auction, the annual fund. Far be it from me to put a limit on your generosity. So please, if you reach your goal next year, keep going. I'm not going to stop you. But when we ask for your fair share goal, we're really asking you to consider all of these activities wrapped up into one for the year. How much would you like to consider pledging for your fair share commitment? And these are the three primary fundraisers. The annual fund is probably the one that's hardest to put your arms around. Like, what is that? That's really just the category for all the various requests for help that we send out throughout the year. Like, you might have remembered Nick's Christmas letter this last year in December. Today, as Christmas comes around, if you've got an extra Christmas gift you'd like to share with St. El's, please consider us in your Christmas generosity. That all goes into the annual fund. And then, of course, the auction, which is not only a great way to give generously, but an awesome way to volunteer. Where are our auction co-chairs? Where's David? Where are you guys? Right there. Worked very hard. They did a great job. And many hours. I hope you guys are resting peacefully now. But that was a fun night. And of course, the Jogathon, which is a great way to get aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa involved. Who doesn't love pledging and support the kids? And that's my final note for all of you is, yes, we have budgets to balance. Yes, we have fantastic teachers to support. They're the ones doing the great work in the classroom with our kids. But it's really all about the kids. We care about this school very much. We're working very hard to support you. We trust you to support us as best you can in this coming year. And that's what Fair Share is all about. So more communication to come. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, you can ask Nick or Pete or me, I guess. So thank you for your time.
Right, so since we're on the topic of fundraising, the ones who are in the trenches, Parents Club, I'm gonna invite, I don't know who all is speaking, and maybe it's all of you, feel free to come on up. They're gonna share a little bit more about things ahead.
Thank you, Nick. My name is Maureen. I've been a fixture here at the school for quite some time, but I really enjoy meeting people, seeing new faces. If you're a parent that drives your kid in and drops them off, I love seeing their faces. I love seeing them. This is your parent club board for this year. Lindsay, Susan, Francis, Olivia, there's Katrina. We try to organize and help with the fundraising, giving parents an opportunity to help with the school. And I've got to say, it's a real, where is Chris? You're a very tough act to follow.
I'm sorry.
But I will say this, there are a lot of you here, but the amount that you volunteer, the hours and the hard work that you put in, you're gonna be the happiest people in the room, and you are gonna live forever. Say this right now. So just a little business. The bylaws, we represent all parents at the school. If you have an issue with volunteering, or hey, you want resource, maybe talk to another parent in your kid's class, come to us. We are a resource for you. So we're governed by a set of bylaws. They're on the school website. We need to change the bylaws. Our bylaws are pre-COVID. So we thought we'd take a little time, because you're a captive audience, to go over a few of these bylaw changes that we'd like to make. Instead of having a mandatory set of 7 meetings per the school year, just do 4. And then new family liaison instead of a preschool liaison, and remove our food committee chair. We really haven't used a food committee chair for some time. The new family liaison instead of a preschool liaison, we want to recognize that parents are coming not just for preschool, that we want to support all new parents that are coming in to the school, whether they're in 3rd grade, 4th grade, or middle school. And we want to make sure that we're working with admissions and development and making sure that your needs are met, because it's hard for not just your child to come to a new school, but it's hard for you as parents to figure out, okay, what's done here? Are you sure that we need the belt for the uniform? We're here to answer those questions. We're here to support you. We have a uniform exchange. We are here for each other. We're here for your kids. We're here for our own kids. The rising tide raises all boats. So we also have a little part of our bylaw is that we had a notebook that we kept all of our resources in. How do we run a particular event? Now, this is pre-COVID. Once you put something printed in a notebook, the dead document. So what we've decided to do is it'll all be electronic now. It'll be a resource for anyone that wants to go in and say, how did Chris Henzelli run the Jogathon 8 years ago? And you're going to find maybe some notes there that he took and how he did it, and maybe what worked for him and what didn't. So someone else can come along and run the jogathon. Because it's not just us up here doing the fundraising and leading. Look at the person across the table. We don't stand up here and raise money. And Amy and Abby, they didn't raise all that money at that awesome auction by themselves. They needed the community. And so we need you. We will vote on our bylaws electronically. You'll be receiving an email through Nick, and it'll take the course over the course of the week. I wanted to give you our year-to-date summary. I have our treasurer here, Susan, if you have any questions. We just had our auction. And I must say that I don't know anyone that did not have a great evening. Everyone had a great evening. So thank you, ladies. Look forward to the next one. Look forward to the next one. So our auction numbers are preliminary. We're still waiting on quite a bit. These numbers won't be final until, Amy, you said probably June, right? If you want to be part of the budget conversation, how we fundraise, what we're doing to fundraise, come to a board meeting. It will be published. We welcome you. We welcome your input, and we want full transparency. So that's where we're at with our auction. Our jogathon is great. We're doing some other fundraising. We just did a dessert dash at the Knights of Columbus craft tea last weekend, and we made, what did we make? $2,500. Now, if you don't know what a dessert dash is, all of you donated a dessert. I had 32 desserts over there. And then different tables bid and on the how much money they could raise at their table. The highest bidders were the first ones to go dash and get a dessert. So the overhead for that is quite low. It's quite low. But it's the generosity of the community and the generosity of the wonderful bakers. I myself just bought cookies. But it took 32 individuals stepping up, making a dessert so that we could raise money for all the kids. So thank you. So our total is right now hovering around $97,700. Our commitment is $100,000, and we will be putting on at least one fundraiser to fund the gap. Yes, Chris.
Just for clarity, those are net income numbers, right? Not gross.
Those are net income numbers.
We got way more than that for the auction.
You did get way more of that for the auction. What was the gross number? Do we want to go into that?
Yeah, I think we can chat about that.
You can chat about that offline. Yes, the next general meeting. But remember, those values are preliminary. They don't count matching. They don't count party tickets that might not have maxed out for parties. So there are definitely opportunities to still have fun in the afterglow of the auction. So that's still, we're still raising money as a community. Now, next year, there are leadership roles for a very small school. We need a lot of leaders. We need, on the executive board, our secretary is rotating out. Frances. Sorry, Frances. Yes, she takes awesome notes. She's been great. And our vice president will also be rotating out. So those are leadership positions that are open. You can nominate yourself. You can have someone else nominate you. Don't be surprised if someone does. There are a lot of wonderful leaders here in the community. We need auction leads, 2, 3, 5. I like spreading the jobs because it's a huge job. We need script chairs. We need family fun night person. Last year we did a trunk or treat in the parking lot and we really tore it up for a Wednesday night. That was wonderful. We also need an Angel's Angle editor, holiday hoopla chair, bingo, spiritware, Junior Olympic, these are all points to volunteer. And we also need room parents for exploratory preschool, second grade, fourth grade, and seventh and eighth grade girls. Now, not all of these jobs are the same. These jobs, if you talk to members of the community, each one has a fit. Maybe your fit is being a room parent, writing a few emails, getting to know your other fellow room parents, or you love bingo. Who in Catholic schools does not love bingo? So think about these roles. Think about jumping in with both feet in this community. There's no danger of drowning, not in this community. We've got each other, and really, we are all in this together. I'd like to open up the floor just very quickly for any other questions. Any question besides Zelly's question? Come find your board. I've pointed us all out. We're always available. Email us. We are here for you. We are a resource. And I'll leave that the rest to Nick.
Right. Final slide. Again, thank you so much for being here. And again, thank you, prospective families. Feel free to stick around if you need to ask questions, get some St. Al swag. You could even get a yard sign, not even have a kid here yet, but they're for you to pick up. Okay. Miss Murphy, can you hold up one of those t-shirts back there?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a nice heritage t-shirt. You got that vintage angel logo, established in 1907, third oldest Catholic school in the diocese. So pick one of those up, $15 is a QR code, and then yard signs. Also referral forms. Those are at the back table. If you don't know about this, tuition credits, if you have filled out a referral form and you're like, where is my referral credit? Please talk with me or Charlene. We want to make sure that that is applied to your account. Friends, neighbors, whoever, okay, that tuition credit gets applied to your first kid's tuition. It goes a long way. The number one way that St. Al's gets out there is through you. It's word of mouth. It's not through the direct mail. It's not through my paid Facebook ads, Instagram posts, whatnot. It's through you. So I need your help. There's a big QR code up there. There's a little exit ticket. Just a few quick questions, some feedback on how we can improve this particular presentation, questions about fair share, or is fair share making more sense to you now, like a yes or no question. Again, it helps us go back to school commission and make some adjustments. And then Chris is holding up back there a fair share FAQ document. So if you need some more language and clarity, Chris is the guy. We've got wine, we've got cheese, Doggy Marjos. See you tomorrow. Thanks for being here, everybody. Everybody's good. I will be around, but are there any pressing